So, like every year, as a plant enthusiast, I have fun browsing all the websites I can to find unique plants to grow. And this year, I found some pretty wild ones, and I'm going to quickly show them to you in this video. So, the idea of this video isn't necessarily to present each plant in detail because, as you'll see, there are quite a few. We're just going to skim through them. The main idea is to introduce them to you quickly. If you really like any of the plants, let me know in the comments and I'll make detailed videos. Now let's start with the crazy plants I'm growing this year. We're going to start with a few trees, beginning with the salad tree, a classic in forest gardens. It's a tree whose leaves are edible and taste like fried onion, peanut, fried onion. Well, they really have a unique and very pleasant flavor. I already have this tree in my garden, but I had never grown it from seed until now. And then, well, this winter I did some germination tests with the seeds I have and they sprout really well. I already have some small seedlings that look pretty nice. And now we're going to do the bulk of the sowing. It's a seed that doesn't have any dormancy, it doesn't need stratification, there's nothing special, just sow it and it sprouts really well. So I'm going to have plenty of salad trees this year, I'm really happy. Among the trees, some are a bit unusual, exotic, but very classic in forest gardens. We also have pawpaw trees. So this isn't the first time I've sown them, but I'm such a fan of this tree, of this fruit, it's really starting to become a classic. So we're going to sow quite a few of them this year. Actually, it's not something we're just starting to sow now, it's something we already put into stratification at the beginning of winter, end of autumn. It will stay in the cold all winter. Soon we'll move it somewhere warm and see what germinates. The Aziminiae, for those who don't know, is a fruit that tastes a bit like mango, even though botanically it has nothing to do with a mango. To truly know the taste, you need to try them yourself since it's hard to describe. It's a unique fruit that doesn't taste like anything else. Another seed I'm going to plant here is a tree that you probably know a few species of since it's the oak, but it's a special kind of oak. It's a sweet acorn oak with edible acorns. Rinse them well to remove the tannins. This one is the belote oak, I think that's the name. It's an oak that produces acorns with low tannin content, which are relatively easy to eat. So I'll definitely talk to you about this one again soon. Same here, the seeds have already been sown. They were sown in the cold a few weeks ago and they should start sprouting soon. Next, we're also going to grow pepper plants. So we have the classic ones, Sichuan pepper, Timut pepper, and we're also going to grow the Sancho pepper. These are species that are quite close to each other. We also have monk's pepper, chase tree, these pepper plants. I've mentioned them in several videos, but haven't made any focused ones yet. However, these pepper plants are becoming classics we can grow in temperate regions. That there will be a video on the subject coming very soon. Next, we sowed a lot of these last year. We made some Polonias and we might sow a few more this year. But now for the Polonia, we're going to go for sterile varieties that propagate through root cuttings. I already have quite a few cuttings coming in, so well, we might sow a few of them. I'm mainly going to sow them to make a video, to explain to you how to sow them, since it's a tree that apparently you have trouble sowing. A lot of people tell me they've tried and it doesn't work. I don't find it complicated, so I'll show you how to do it. Another unusual fruit is the acacia, a climbing plant that needs support. It's unique, so I'll show pictures instead of describing it. You eat the inner flesh, which has seeds and isn't very comfortable. You spit the seeds out when eating them. But this kind of gelatin, this gel, has a really surprising texture and it's actually quite pleasant to the taste. It's unique, really. You have to taste it to understand. So, another very original fruit, and for those who are interested, we'll also have some at the nursery, just like all the others actually. Next, I have quite a few herbaceous plants that I'm going to sow. Besides the classics, for example, I'm going to grow amaranth, but in this case, it's not the plant that's original. It's more about the way I'm going to do it and the way I sell it. The seeds as well, we don't sell separate species. We sell mixes of seeds that contain many different types of amaranth. There will be the classics, the red ones, the pink ones, the green ones, the love lies bleeding types. And then there are also some amaranths specially selected for their biomass production. In syntropic agriculture or even just in a forest garden, sometimes we need plants to produce biomass. So there's the green giant, the red giant. And so there are quite a few different species already among the seeds I'm selling this year and that I'm going to sow. And besides that, every year I look for new varieties of amaranth. And by mixing them together, it's also to choose those best suited to my place and identify those that don't grow well or I can't manage to grow. They won't produce, so I won't collect the seeds, and the ones that are perfectly adapted, I'll collect the seeds and my mix will diversify and become more refined over time. So there you go. There are already quite a few varieties in there if you want to try. And there will be even more in the coming years. Then I'll try to make categories for you now of herbaceous plants. Let's say the seeds that make me dream are the ones I've collected year after year. Either from websites or from people who travel. That's what I mean when I say these are seeds that make me dream. So these are plants that are each associated with different countries, like for example bread muffin, which is also called paracress. Now this one is very special. It's not so much the taste, but the effect it has in your mouth. One day I'll make a video about this plant, just showing people's reactions when they taste it for the first time. And you'll see just how surprising it can be. It's a plant that tingles in your mouth. Tingling is the effect you get when you put your tongue on a battery to see if it's charged. You know, it goes bizezet, it buzzes a little, and that's exactly what it does in your mouth when you eat it. It has a slightly numbing effect. It also stimulates your saliva. It really makes you drool a lot. It's a unique plant, and I highly recommend trying it if you haven't already. And also it's a plant that comes from Réunion, Madagascar, you know, over there, and it's even part of a traditional dish called romazav. So I recommend you try it, and I'll make a video about it as soon as I have some growing in production. Here, another one that takes me traveling is epazote. That one is more from Mexico. It's a flavor that doesn't really resemble anything else either, besides its own aroma. Interesting, it's a plant that acts on digestion. It's what we call a carminative plant. It limits intestinal fermentation. Actually, you could say it makes you fart less. Laughs, I don't know how to be clearer. Over there in Mexico, they cook it with beans. It's kind of like savory. In France, it's sometimes called herb for beans. Epazote is the herb for beans for Mexicans who cook it with beans to help reduce gas. Another plant, another country. We're going to use shiso now. That's more Asia, Korea, different regions of Asian countries. So we have three different types of shiso: green shiso, red shiso, and then we have the bicolor shiso, which is green on top and red underneath. The leaf is beautiful, the aroma is a bit different. So for shiso, the aroma is like cumin. When you crush the leaf, you really get that aroma cumin for both the green and the red. The red one, in addition to its color, is very ornamental, while the green one is maybe a bit more aromatic. For shiso lovers in cooking, they usually go for the green one, I think. That's what I've noticed with people who buy plants from me. And then the bicolor one will have a bit of that cumin aftertaste, but mostly it has an anise aroma that comes on top. Here are three plants that are decorative and also interesting to eat. Another one, which I'll mention, takes me on a journey, but in this case it really doesn't. An aromatic plant that's considered invasive in its native country. But that being said, it's still been one of my favorite plants of all time. I think that, for the record, it was my very first favorite plant, and it's the sensitive plant. You know, it's that plant that reacts to touch. If you touch the leaves close up. And I grew up in Africa, and there was that in the lawn around my house. And I used to have fun running my hand through the leaves there. I would see all the leaves closing up. It fascinated me. And so, just because of that story, this plant fascinates me. Its reactive side to touch. It's one of the rare ones that does that. It's not the only one, but it's pretty rare in the plant world. There's one that's even more fascinating, which I'll save for the end of this video. I'll talk about it in a little while. But for now, the sensitive plant, I love it. So, as I was saying, it's invasive in the countries where it grows. In tropical and equatorial regions, here there's no risk of it being invasive. It won't become invasive here because it's frost sensitive and can't survive winter, so you must reseed it each spring. There's a special way to sow it. I'll share a short or video about it soon. But if you're interested, we still have seeds available on our website and other very unique plants. We're going to move on to the squash group. Let's do a squash. Wait, do I have one around here? So this squash, it's the squash. No, actually this plant is the loofah gourd. Alright, we can agree that the squash I'm holding here in the video looks totally ridiculous. Normally it's supposed to be about this size, so this loofah gourd. Actually it has the unique feature of being, so it's basically just air and seeds inside, and the flesh is very fibrous, very light. And when you remove the skin, inside you find this and this. It can be used as a slightly rough sponge, kind of like an exfoliating glove to remove dead skin for washing. It can be useful, but also for doing the dishes, for cleaning, and it still remains quite durable over time. It's not going to last you 10 years either, each sponge. But with one gourd, you can make plenty of sponges from it, and a plant can give you several gourds. So basically, with one seed, you should have your sponges for the year, and that's it. I find it pretty fascinating that a plant can produce this kind of thing. So yeah, we grow this one every year here in the greenhouse. If you're in a warm seaside area in southern France, it works. Otherwise, it's better in a greenhouse. Not to grow it year-round, but so the fruits develop well and mature by year's end, producing durable sponges. Because if you harvest fruits that aren't ripe enough, the sponge won't necessarily last very long. Let me know if you're interested, and I'll make a special video about this plant, since it interests many people, along with other unique gourds. What should we do this year? Sorry about the next two. We don't have any seeds available for sale right now, but we'll have some as soon as we've harvested them next fall. We're going to grow the zombie calabash. As for the name zombie, I looked everywhere to find out where it came from, but I couldn't find any source. Apparently, it might just be more of a marketing thing, or maybe it's just because of the color of the fruit. So it's going to produce a pretty big squash that will have a reddish brown color, kind of a faded color when it dries out. Maybe that's why people thought of zombies, but it's unrelated to them. It's a squash that's perfectly edible. It has a flavor somewhere between peach and melon, and it's especially very fragrant, so much so that it's used for consumption. But it's also used for its fragrance. You can put it in milk, it scents your clothes, you can just keep it in the house, and apparently the smell is very strong, very captivating. I still don't see what this has to do with zombies, but in any case, it seems to be a pretty interesting squash. And another squash. A calabash that I'm going to grow. Now, this one isn't for eating. It's actually more for the fun of it that I want to grow it. It's the calabash that's called penis shield in French. Well, more like sheath, you know, that calabash that some Aboriginal tribes also use as a loincloth. You tie it with a string around your waist, you put your penis inside, and it serves to cover everything up. So there you go. I'm not going to use it, I don't think, but anyway, I'm going to grow it just for the story, for fun. And I don't have many seeds, but if anyone's interested, I'll have a few plants for sale at the nursery, if anyone wants to have a laugh with me. Another somewhat unusual squash we have is the kiwano. I think one of its other names is the African horned cucumber, so there you go, the name says it all. It's from the cucumber family, and it grows exactly the same way as a cucumber. It's a trailing plant that will crawl along the ground and produce small round fruits covered with big spikes. For this plant, I really recommend harvesting the fruits when they are fully ripe, or even letting them ripen a little more after picking. That's when they'll have the best taste. It's a taste that's somewhat similar to melon, but again, it's not easy to compare its flavor to another plant. So try it, taste it, and you'll see for yourself. The last cucurbit I'm growing is a regular at the Garden of Wonders. It's a cucurbit that grows wild in France. It's one of the few that can grow in France. It's Anne's cucumber, but don't be fooled by the word cucumber. It's not edible at all. Personally, I would use it more as ground cover, and what interests me about this plant is the way it spreads its seeds. They look like little pickles, I would say. The seeds are in a liquid inside the pickle, under pressure and barely held in. We're going to shake the plant, shake the fruit a little, and the cucumber, the pickle, will spit out its seeds in a very powerful and surprising way. That's why I find it so interesting. Plus, it's a great drought-resistant ground cover. I really like this plant and will grow it again this year, as I have for the past few years. So another plant from a slightly special category. You could say it's a flower, an ornamental, but it has other uses. It's the clip of Agaleonotis nepetifolia, if you want its Latin name. I didn't do it for the others, so why am I doing it for this one? It's a plant that has several different uses. Personally, I mainly grow it for the flower. It's a plant that's going to be beautiful. It will make balls, little pom-poms with lots of small orange flowers like this, which are really beautiful. So it's very pretty, but above all, it has other uses. It has medicinal uses, but that's not what it's most used or grown for. For example, it can be consumed as an herbal tea. And in terms of effects, it will have a relaxing and euphoric effect, which reminds us a little of the effects of another plant, which is much less legal. But as a result, it can be a substitute for cannabis, and it's quite often used by people who want to quit cannabis. Exactly, and switch to something softer, nicer, and especially more legal. So here you go, Aga's clip. It can be consumed as an herbal tea, as I mentioned, and most people will rather smoke it. So let me know in the comments if you know about it, or if you've ever used this plant. And let me know if it works for you. Because as I told you, for me, I mainly use it for the flower. I've never tasted it. So let me know, and I'll finish with some other edible plants. The sausage plant is a Mediterranean aromatic plant whose scent and especially its taste are reminiscent of peppered sausage. I've never tasted or smelled it, but I'll tell you when I do. The other is the vegetable caterpillar, a plant with edible leaves mainly named for its fruits. It's a legume, so it produces a flower that looks like a pea, and then it makes a kind of twisted bean like this, which looks like a caterpillar and which moreover is edible. Here you go. In a salad, it should look great. I'm excited to try it before I finish with my favorite plant of the year. Other sowings that I'm going to do, but I don't really know if you can call it sowing for these plants, because they're not really seeds, they're not cuttings or anything like that, they're spores. Since I'm going to try for the first time in my life to sow fern spores, I ordered quite a few spores, lots of different ferns, and I'm also going to try with some local ferns. I also have in particular. So here it's not sowing. I bought some fern plants called ostrich plumes. It's a fern that's quite well known in forest gardens, mostly American. In France, it's not very well known, this plant. Well, this fern, and it's a fern that's going to be edible in a much simpler way than our wild ferns here, which are slightly toxic. But there you go, and I'm going to try next to this one to sow spores from lots of other ferns. I'm excited to do that and share it with you since it's a unique way to grow things compared to using seeds. That's a topic to cover soon. There you go. And one that I'm going to do this year, and I'm going to do quite a few, so I have some to sell as well. It's my favorite at the moment, let's say. It's really an incredible plant that I've already grown. I've even made a video about it before. Its new Latin name is Codario Calyx motorius. Its old Latin name, which is the one I knew it by. For me, it's more the Desmodium gyrans. That's the one they call the dancing plant. So, I was talking to you earlier about the sensitive plant. If you touch the leaves close up. That's already pretty much the dancing plant. It's a plant with leaves that don't move. You can touch it. Touching it doesn't make the leaves move, and what makes the leaves move is sound, music. If you make noise nearby, the leaves don't necessarily move. On the other hand, if you sing, or even with a phone, if you play a melodious song, well, the leaflets start to move very gently, so the plant doesn't necessarily dance, but the leaves start to move. I'm showing you some images here while I'm talking about it, and otherwise I'll direct you to a video I already made about this.
Music is playing. Music is playing.
I love this plant and haven't had it in a while. I'm growing more this year, and I'll have some at the nursery if anyone's interested. Just so you know, for most of the plants I'm going to talk about in this video, I also sell seeds. I'll put all the links over there to the website we have where you can find these seeds. I'll also put a link to my website where you can find quite a few things, including information sheets for each plant, which will explain a little bit about what the plant is and everything you can do with it. On my website, you'll find a list of seed suppliers for the seeds I don't sell, so you can browse and discover amazing options. And then, in the document sharing tab, you'll find a table called Seeds and Time, which I mentioned in my last video. And in this table, you'll find all the information you need to sow your seeds at the right time, all that. And also all these plants, I'll have them for sale here at the nursery. We're opening on April 4th, mark your calendars. From then on, we'll be open every Saturday. But before that, on March 21st, so that's very soon, we're having a special opening day, a clearance day, where we'll be selling all the bare root trees we still have at low prices. That's because we need to finish selling off the last of our stock. We don't have much left, but we'll be selling them for much less than usual. So if you're interested in trees, make sure to mark this date in your calendars as well. Saturday, March 21st, will be open from 3 post meridium to 6 post meridium. And well, we're looking forward to welcoming you, especially since a lot of things have changed at the place. We even have restrooms now, just to say. So yeah, we're really looking forward to all of this. Alright, I hope this video and all these plants have given you some ideas and a desire to start growing things. Let me know in the comments if there are any plants you want me to cover in more detail in future videos. And then I'll see you very soon. Oh, there's something else I must not forget to say. If you want to support me financially so I can keep taking the time to make these videos, I'll put a link over here to my Typee page where you can support me. Thank you to everyone who does or will do it. Wishing you good sowing and see you very soon. Bye.